In this episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Kevin Lawson and Sean O'Shaughnessey sit down with Sendoso co-CEO Kris Rudeegraap to unpack a simple truth. Breaking through the noise isn't about more touches, it's about more relevance. You'll hear how ethical, hyper-personalized gifting can open doors with real decision makers, strengthen champions, and accelerate deals without turning your outreach into a bribe. Kris also shares how AI is changing the game, recommending what to send, who to send it to, and what message actually lands. Stick around for a practical, low-cost play you can run this week on a short list of target accounts to drive real sales success.
Year to date, you have probably all been listening to us thinking, how am I actually going to make my number? What is actually going to get through the gatekeeper, the door? How am I going to gain the audience that's going to help me meet my number? Today is your day to listen up and listen in. If you're driving, consider pulling over and taking some notes, or liking the episode and make sure you listen to it again because there's going to be some nuggets here. We're joined by the co-CEO of Sendoso, Kris. Kris, we're glad to have you here all the way from the left coast.
Thanks for having me on.
So Kris, it's really great to have you on. Thank you very much. This is going to be a lot of fun. One of the challenges that I know salespeople have, and I think you guys can help a little bit with this, is getting appointments with the appropriate level of decision makers in their organization. So a lot of times they can network into a company at a lower level, have some really good conversations. Those people tend not to introduce us up to executives, the people that are sitting in the executive suite. And I think you, just by some of the things that I've heard about your product and some of the things I've been watching and some people I know that have used your product, I think you can help in that area. So we're going to make this one a little bit different. And we're like, how can we use tools like gifts appropriately so that we're not bribing the customer to see us, because that's not appropriate, but we are making it like, wow, these guys are pretty cool, I want to talk to them kind of conversation. So yeah, start us out and we'll start asking questions based on that.
Yeah, so gifting can be a really effective way to break through all the digital noise. Because I think we've seen over the last handful of years, I can attest to it. I get like a gazillion emails, there's ads everywhere. And landing on someone's desk or landing on someone's front door is just another avenue to grab their attention or build the relationship. So depending on if you're really focused on booking more meetings or if you're just really focused on a multi-quarter long sales cycle, this is another thing that you can interject in just to build rapport and hopefully differentiate yourself from a competitor.
Interesting. So when is it wrong to send a gift? Let's start with that, because let's set some ground rules so that our listeners know, don't do that, because that'll hurt your business. So when's it wrong?
I'm going to say never, but I don't think the problem is when to send. It's like the tactic of how you're sending is what could be wrong. So if you just lob over a gift and say, hey, here's a gift, book a meeting with me right now, that can come across very bad. But if it's a creative message alongside the gift that talks about your value proposition, maybe there's some fun pun or some way to make that more about them. Maybe it's hyper personalized. You know that your prospect likes golf and you're sending some golf balls, or, hey, I heard you on this podcast mention you're going on a sailing trip, or, hey, the last time we talked, you mentioned you had 2 kids that were just starting soccer. Here's this. So if you could make it about either your product value proposition or personal based on the recipient, it tends to land really well. If you don't do, that's when you're cooked.
Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting, and I love the intentionality behind personalization. On the Sendoso LinkedIn page and on the website, there's some great examples of, hey, this is not always just a one and done. You don't just send one gift or one intro or one message and expect the rainmaker effect. So let's talk about the process of warming up that relationship. It's digital, it's phone, it's all the things. Let's talk about a great campaign. So people who've never sent gifts, never done any ABM, never done the steps that drive success, how can they set their expectations right to work with someone like you?
I think if you're running more of a target account ABM program and you're assigning these high value accounts and you want to break into those target accounts, that's a great way to think about what is the sequence. I think historically without us, you're like phone call, email, phone call, LinkedIn, phone call, email. And so it's easy to just be like, let's change step 3 to sending a gift. Let's change step 9 to sending a gift. So I think that's one way tactically to think about that when you're more top of funnel trying to book that meeting as a seller. But if you're thinking about it longer term, like what are some of those check-in points that you have during your sales funnel? Hey, instead of the Friday, hey, where's the contract? Maybe it's, hey, just want to check in, lunch on me today. Here's a DoorDash gift card. Any updates on the contract? That's a little bit of a give and a get, and you're building that better rapport than just always asking for things.
Love the idea that you're not always asking for things, because sometimes you do want to just say thank you. So I know that one of the things that I use gifts for frequently is thank you very much for that order. That was a great order. That was a really good reference. So a lot of the people that we talk to in our listener group are trying to get references to somebody else. It's a great way to say thank you of, hey, thanks for the reference. I got that meeting. It was a great meeting. Here's some steaks, or just here's a $5 gift card at Starbucks, if nothing else, right? So what do you think about the thank you for the reference? Thank you for the order. What do you think about those kind of strategies as well?
I love it. Again, at the end of the day, sales is about building relationships. People buy from people, and that thank you goes a long way. It's you're showing some respect. You're saying thank you. They're going to take that. And like you said, sometimes it's not what the gift is. It's just the concept of being and providing gratitude. And so I think that is really one thing that can differentiate too in a buying cycle as well. Or maybe if you're thanking a reseller of a partner, and you're thanking them and the other one's not, who are they going to go to next? And it's small things like that pattern disrupt or remind them of who you are that can build that long-term rapport or that long-term differentiation.
So when has giving a gift you have lots of stories, I'm sure you talked a lot. When is it, give us the good and the bad. Give us a time when, yeah, they really screwed that up. That whole process didn't work very well. So our listeners do think of when things are bad, but also talk about when it really worked well. So if you could do both, that'd be fun to actually do a compare and contrast in the same conversation here.
Yeah. So I got a couple of great ones. I'll start and some bad ones thereafter. I'll give a couple of things that worked really well for us. We were at a conference. Someone came by, a VP at a super large Fortune 500. They were on crutches. They said they broke their ribs in a skiing accident. We had some fun with it, sent them some Kansas City baby back ribs in the mail. And when they got back to their desk, it was a funny note with some ribs. They shared that story amongst the office. We got that deal, and that person has been a champion for life because of that fun, unique moment. We've also done that for another example. We knew that one of the prospects was working from home. We knew that they had some kids at home. We sent some coloring books, and that broke through saying, hey, I know your kids are around during the day. Here's some fun coloring books to keep them busy. You can learn more about Sendoso and chat one-on-one. And so again, that just felt like it was a nice gift that resonated with us knowing about that prospect. On the bad side, you can, again, send a gift, and I'll say we don't do this, but I've seen it, but you could send a gift and be really critical on the ask up front. Hey, here's a $50 gift card, meet with me today. And so that's what you don't want to do. Or you can not do your research, and or not use a tool like Sendoso that has AI and data, and you could send somebody a bottle of tequila that doesn't drink, and that can land bad. Especially if that person is on social media or on their LinkedIn or other areas are telling the world about that. And so not doing your homework can also negatively affect the engagement.
That's really interesting. Those couple ideas that you just gave are those good examples and bad examples. One of the things that I hear salespeople say is, yeah, but my company doesn't reimburse me for this. This is something that I would have to pay for out of my own pocket. But give some encouragement, give some ideas on how salespeople can deal with that situation. Because that is true. If you're giving a lot of gifts, especially if they're moderately expensive, that can become a hit on your commission flow as well. So talk about that. How do your customers deal with that?
Yeah. So I'll take that into two different directions. One is, most of our customers have bought into this as a strategy that they are enabling sellers to have. And so whether it's the marketing leadership, sales leadership is saying, hey, here is this platform, Sendoso. We're going to give you hundreds, thousands of dollars a month to spend, and the different options of things that you can spend, because we know it works and we know it's going to help you build pipeline or book more deals. And so for all of our customers, they are already putting the bill out and saying, we know this tactic works. We want to drive more revenue for our business. If that's not the case, you don't have a platform like Sendoso, you're just doing this manually, which I think is still better than nothing. The thing that I would say is, first, if you're a seller and you know that you close a deal, you're going to put 1K, 10K, 100K in your pocket for that commission, then what kind of a dollar amount can you think about to spend on? Can you spend $500 to get that deal across the finish line faster or break into a new account? And so I think there is a little bit of math there that can help you. Or sometimes gifting doesn't have to be expensive. We've seen someone use our platform to send an empty pizza box with a little note inside saying, hey, hungry for a new solution? Let's chat. And by the way, I'll buy pizza on me after we talk. That was like $6 to send out, not expensive. So you don't have to always think that gifting is expensive. You can think about gifting as a creative way to grab someone's attention and using something that is unique than just an email. So I think that's another way to think about it. And best case, you break in, you spend some bucks or you send some pizza boxes, you start to show success manually. And you say, hey boss, this is working really well. I want a tool like Sendoso to automate this, to track it, to make sure I don't have to do expense reports, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And the one thing that jumped out to me when you're talking about that, whether it's the empty pizza box, the trade show, and the ribs, is that hyper personalization. But I'm curious, we would be remiss if we didn't absolutely bring up AI as a part of this discussion. So when did you recognize that AI was going to play a part in gifting as a part of the sales process? And when did you know that you had to do it?
Yeah. So 5-6 years ago, when AI was called data science and machine learning, we went all in on it. We knew that we could build a better recommendation engine by using large data sets. Now, luckily, over the last 2-3 years, AI has just come so far that it's so much easier for us to rapidly build out features and enhance our recommendation engine. And so now we're building way more functionality around, let's recommend what to send, who to send to, what's the message that goes along with the gift in order to better drive the response rates you're looking for. What is the mailing address? Should you send to someone's home or send someone's office? And that we can use AI to triangulate. What third-party signals or first-party signals can we take in to say when to send, whether that's data in your CRM or a job change or some big news for a company. So all those things used to take sellers 10, 20, 30 minutes to figure out. Now it can be done instantly through our platform and through AI.
That's very cool. And Kevin and I talk about AI a lot. We help our clients with AI a lot. So that's a really cool thing that you did. Do you have any metrics? Because the other thing I do is I love metrics. I love to compare this worked, this didn't work, or this worked 5% better or whatever. Do you have any metrics, just high level metrics on somebody who increased their revenue or they increased their response rate because they had a gifting strategy along with it? Have you seen where it goes up 2% or 5% or 1,000%? Do you have any metrics like that?
Yeah, we do. We have a bunch of data studies on our website, as well as some case studies showcasing really hard metrics. But what we really look at is, can we increase win rates? And we've seen that can be increased up to 9x by using gifting in the sales cycle. We also saw that if you use gifting in prospecting, you can up to 4x increase the likelihood of booking a meeting. So those are some high level numbers, but I love looking at exact use cases of sending the pizza box and what kind of revenue or pipeline can be attributed to that. And so we have 30, 40 different case studies on our website, which are pretty interesting to look at and drive inspiration on, wow, that's a random thing to send. I wouldn't have thought about that, but good idea. So I'd encourage listeners who want to dive in one step deeper to the data to check out some of the case studies and data studies on our website, sendoso.com.
I agree. In fact, I did that beforehand, so I knew you had those case studies. I was hoping you had them on the top of your head like that. So that's great, because I really do think it's a very positive thing that a salesperson can do when they're trying to break into a new account or say thank you to a good existing account, to give an appropriate gift, a creative gift, one that looks personalized. It doesn't look like, hey, here's a coffee mug with my logo on it. Thank you very much for being my customer. That really doesn't move the needle. The guy goes, you know what? Every salesperson is going to give me a logo item. I don't need another t-shirt. So I think that's a really positive thing, that the way you're doing it, and those case studies were fantastic. If somebody wanted to reach out and talk to you or talk to your team about what's a strategy that will work for my business, how does that work? How do I set up an account? How do they get a hold of you? What's that whole process look like? And do you want them to reach out to you specifically, or no, I'm busy now, I don't want that to happen? So how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, happy to talk to people directly. Kris, KRIS at sendoso.com. You can check out our website, Sendoso, SENDOSO.com. Follow us on LinkedIn. There's tons of interesting information on our website or our social media pages. And would love to help people, whether it's talking strategy and what could work, down to helping them automate something that they've already been doing manually and they want to scale out globally, or they're just looking for a tech solution that has AI and data to better enable gifting for a large sales team. All those things we love talking about.
Cool. Thank you very much. And all of those links, all that information is going to be in the show notes. So if you're driving down the road, don't try to scribble that down. Get your appointment, get home, whatever, and then look at the show notes afterwards. You can write all that stuff down. So Kris, thank you very much for being on. It was great to talk to you. I really appreciate it. And we really look forward to maybe having you back sometime in the future, because it might be interesting to see, how does somebody start selling to you as the CEO of the company? How do they get into your office? That'd be fun, Joe. Kevin, any final words?
I'm always thankful that we've got these differing perspectives. Kris, you get a couple of blue ribbons today. Number one, you're the first one who talked about Signal in this year's podcast and breaking through the noise, and the AI insight was really valuable. So thanks for your time. Thanks for enhancing all of our listeners' sales acumen. And to everyone out there, as always, happy selling.
What a sharp, practical episode. One of those conversations that actually gives you something you can use before your next call. The biggest takeaway for me was the idea of building gifting into your sales processes as a deliberate sequence, not a random Hail Mary. Swap one of your usual touches for something tangible that reinforces your messaging and creates a real pattern interrupt. Done right, it's not, here's a gift, take a meeting. It's a thoughtful, hyper-personalized note tied to either the prospect's world or your value selling point, which strengthens rapport and improves response rates without damaging trust. Now don't let this sit in the good ideas drawer. Run the play. Pick 10 target accounts and add a 2-touch gifting step, one for prospecting and one for late-stage momentum. Keep it simple, relevant, and defensible, because this is sales management with intent. Small moves that compound into sales success and better revenue management over time. Do it today while the episode is fresh, because by tomorrow you'll be back in the rush of revenue generation and it'll get crowded out. And if you want help tightening your sales strategies, sharpening your sales processes, or just driving more predictable growth, reach out to Sean or Kevin. The contact info is in the show notes. You can also join the B2B Sales Lab, a community where salespeople and sales leaders swap real answers, field-tested resources, and execution support to help you make quota. The URL is in the show notes as well. We'll be back next week at our usual Tuesday drop time. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Happy selling!